So the presidential field will grow by one today. Kentucky Senator Rand Paul expected to make his campaign official at an event in Louisville today, midday. Karl Rove is a former White House senior advisor to President George W. Bush and, of course, a Fox News contributor. Karl, good morning. Great to have you with us this morning.
Thanks. Good
Karl,
to be with you.
It's great to have you, Karl. So let's take a look first at the most recent Fox News poll that we have on the field. We know, obviously, it's early to look at these numbers, but Rand Paul's at 9%, and Ted Cruz, who got in the race about a week ago, is at 10% in this. And obviously, they are clamoring for some of the same voter, definitely the Tea Party voter, and then they want to expand from there. What do you think?
Yeah, well, first, each one of them starts with a slightly different base. Cruz is more of a Tea Party person. Rand Paul is the sort of libertarian in the race, but each one of them wants to reach into different elements of the Republican electorate. Ted Cruz wanted to get to evangelicals. Senator Paul wants to reach into more economic conservatives. But look, he's got three big strengths. He is the only clear libertarian in the race. He's got libertarian views on foreign policy, for example, on reforming drug laws, on restoring felons' rights. This gives him sort of a good, strong base to begin with. He's also very comfortable at outreach. This is a Republican who likes going to college campuses, likes going into the black community, Hispanic community, into the inner city, and he's very comfortable at doing it, and as a result is going to benefit from that in states with open primaries. For example, New Hampshire, where you can bet that if he's in the primary in February, a lot of kids at Keene State University, for example, are going to cross over and vote in the Republican primary. And he has the network of his father, which he has built on, and particularly from the website. He's internet savvy. For example, he's got 1.8 million Facebook followers and 600,000 Twitter followers. And while those aren't the numbers he needs to have at the end of the campaign, they're a good starting point, and he is tech savvy.
Yeah. Quote from him that goes to the outreach point that you just made: white, black, brown, rich, poor, with tattoos, without tattoos, with earrings, without earrings. He says we need to take our message where it's not been before. That's not something that you typically hear from most people on the conservative side of this race.
Yeah. No. Now, on the other hand, he does have shortcomings. Some of his strengths are also potentially weaknesses. His foreign policy views are non-interventionist, some would say isolationist. That sounded better a couple of years ago before the rise of ISIS. Remember, he jumps onto the national scene by a filibuster in the Senate. He's filibustering the nomination of Brennan to be head of the CIA, and it's over the fact that U.S. drones killed Anwar Awlaki, a U.S.-born Islamic jihadist who was killed in Yemen, who Senator Paul said deserved to have due process and Fourth Amendment rights and so forth, and didn't deserve to be killed by a U.S. drone strike. So that sounded a little bit better a couple of years ago than it does today.
Yeah, I mean, that's the line, that's the zinger that you can imagine in a debate environment, Karl, when the talk turns to ISIS, is for one of his opponents to turn to him and say, really? You were opposed to the killing of Anwar Awlaki, who was an inspiration to several people who've tried to blow up this country in 3 different areas.
Right.
But he's tried to measure that. He's tried to sort of change his perspective, and he did vote to give the president the authority to go after ISIS.
Right. And look, he also last week called for a $190 billion increase in the defense budget. But we live in an era of videotape and the internet, and those things will remain. And he does have another problem in that he does tend to say some things that, on reflection, are not politically palatable. For example, when he was running for the Senate, he said he would not have voted for the 1964 Civil Rights Act. We didn't need it. He said somebody in the Bush administration knew about 9/11 in advance, not the president, but others. He's made statements regarding Israel and some domestic issues that are going to come back to bite him in the back and forth that we're going to have here. Because remember, you've got Cruz and Paul and others who are going to be trying to get into the first tier of candidates. You've got Walker and Bush and Huckabee, who have led in national polls, potentially Chris Christie, Marco Rubio, all of whom have better poll standings. And the second tier of Rick Perry and Ted Cruz and Rand Paul and others are going to be trying to get past each other and into that first tier. And some of them are going to do so by going after one of the other Ted Cruz, for example, has been going after Rand Paul, and Rand Paul's been going after Ted Cruz because they see it advantageous to themselves to do so, and we're going to see more of that as we go forward.
What do you expect in the coming months in terms of who gets in next? Marco Rubio has been talked about. And how much does it matter in terms of when you get into this race? Because obviously Cruz and Paul have decided that to be early out of the starting gate is an advantage.
Yeah, and on their part, that's probably wise. Cruz in particular, because he was he was about ready to be inundated by, Walker had a good moment in February. He knew that Rand Paul was coming up. He wanted to get out in front. There are strengths and advantages to getting out early. You get your moment in the sun when things are less crowded. You get a chance to begin developing your networks in these early states. Farther in advance of the primaries. You get out on the campaign trail and start raising money for your campaign itself at a time when you got more time to do it. But there are also disadvantages. One is you start spending money, and that's hard. Those $2,600 contributions are hard to get and easy to spend. And second of all, it's going to be a very complicated picture here, and you're going to be asked to comment on all kinds of things. Rand Paul, for example, has yet to be heard from on the Iranian deal. He's the only major Republican candidate who's not come out against the Iranian deal that President Obama has negotiated. So
I got to go, but
lots
real
of interesting moments ahead.
The New York Times piece on the fact that the money's sitting on the sidelines for longer, perhaps this time than in the past. Is that true?
I think a lot of people are sitting on the sidelines, yes, because they want to see who shows they've got the chops to win. I sense a lot of Republicans want to win. The other part of it is you're going to see a lot of donors putting money in several different campaigns because they want to encourage several different candidates and at the end hope that the best one emerges.
Carl, thanks. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, Martha.